You're listening to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. During the next hour, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning. Welcome to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. We are live streaming. Father Greg Sakowitz, the rector of Holy Name Cathedral, and co-host Mark Teresi, executive director of the cathedral. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good morning. Very, very good. It's beautiful, hot morning in Chicago.
It's a great July day, and we have a very special program lined up. Cardinal Blaise Cupich, Archbishop of Chicago, joins us live from Rome. The Cardinal is currently at the Vatican on assignment, working on a project for the Holy Father. Cardinal Blaise Cupich, good morning. How are you?
Great. Good to see you guys.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you. We are live streaming, so for those that would like to live stream, you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago to join us here with Cardinal Blaise Cupich. How is the weather out there, Cardinal Cupich?
Well, it's much like what you have in Chicago. It's pretty hot today.
A hot day. Now, a little twist of turn. Go ahead, Mark.
I thought maybe we'd start, because I know there are a lot of major topics we're going to be talking about today. But so my wife and I are back at church at St. Gertrude's on Granville. We go back. But what happens is we're so used to your celebration at ABC and your wonderful homilies. I was wondering if we could start with maybe a little bit of your message from the homily yesterday that we missed because we were in church. About the loaves and fishes.
First of all, you can still see it because it's on YouTube through the website of the Archdiocese.
Very good, very good.
And make a donation.
In fact, I know that Father Greg likes to watch it 2 or 3 times, so that pumps up our numbers. You know, it gives him some idea.
Gives me hints for my homily.
It does, yeah. They might be a little old and stale, but it never stopped before. So.
Throwing the rector under the bus on a Monday morning.
Any message from the homily yesterday for our folks?
The loaves and the fish.
Well, yes. I think what's important is that one thing to keep in mind is that the Lord helps all of us understand that so much in life there are needs that we have, real needs. But all of a sudden, we begin to expand that level of need by our wants. It starts off with the need for the people to have food, and it ends up with the people expanding their need to wanting Jesus to be king. And the way that Jesus helps us break that cycle is something we see in the gospel. That young boy is one who teaches them. You break the cycle of expanding your needs by your wants by being generous. And this young boy is generous. The other thing is, it's important to keep in mind that in the gospel, the verb multiply does not exist. Instead, it is about sharing. So it's not about the multiplication of different things in life that are going to make us happy, but the sharing that takes place. And so I think that for all of us, when we begin to find ourselves wrapped up in wanting to possess, wanting to have more, just because there is a possibility of more, we become sad. Yeah. We really don't become fulfilled. The young boy has a lot to teach us by helping us understand it's when we give, when we're generous, and when we share that we break that cycle.
That little boy helped instigate a miracle.
Yeah.
A little boy like that. That's tremendous. And the ratings have been phenomenal for the last 16 months, and they continue to be this summer. And, Cardinal Blaise, just kind of switching gears a little bit. The opening of our churches in Phase 5 of COVID protocols, maybe you can just summarize for the people what that means. But again, in light of the numbers are starting to go back up again, So are you concerned about that?
Well, of course, we are concerned. We want to make sure that this pandemic is stopped in its tracks. And that's why we're still encouraging people to become vaccinated and to be very careful. If you're not vaccinated, please continue to exercise caution by wearing a mask, isolating yourself as well from other people. 99% of those people who are infected today are those who are not vaccinated. And so we're becoming a population of divided by those who are vaccinated and those who are infected. And that's very sad. So my hope is that we are not going to have to return to the kind of restrictions we had before, but we need to pay attention to the developing situation.
I do know that the numbers for the cathedral this weekend, much, much higher. 10 o'clock Mass had maybe about 900 people. And many, many visitors. So people are, again, traveling and coming around. But again, as you say, Cardinal Cupich, this pandemic is not going away, and it's way too early to celebrate. I've had people say, oh, we can start going back to normal. But this Delta variant is very clear. This is far from over. And maybe, Cardinal Blaise, what are you saying to people who are saying to you, I don't want to get vaccinated. There's no need for it. What is your response to them?
Well, I think that they're going to have to live with the consequences of that, unfortunately, and understand that they're going to have to live with the consequences of not being vaccinated. And also, I think they have to realize too that they're putting the rest of us in danger by not being vaccinated. So they really have to look at that in conscience. So it is something that they have to take seriously. My hope is that they don't get sick and that they don't spread this to people who are in vulnerable populations. That's the thing that I would say to them. The Holy Father has made it very clear that there is a moral obligation to be vaccinated, and I think that we have to take that seriously.
On the screen here, we see you being vaccinated. You were one of the first to be vaccinated. Did you have any side effects from the shots?
No, not at all. No. It really, I know it affected other people, but it didn't impact me at all. They say that, that the vaccination had more of an impact on a younger person rather than an older person.
So this is why you were not vaccinated.
We were built tougher.
Maybe that's why you were not bothered by it.
If I could tell you a little brief story, and then I'm going to ask you a question about the blessings of COVID. Two of our blessings were we had two grandchildren that were born during COVID, James Mark and Eleanor Joy. But we were watching the Mass with you and with Greg, with our little Lydia, who's 6 years old. And she asked my wife why you were wearing green. What did that mean? And Mary explained it all theologically, but simply. And she said, nope, I know what it is. They both like broccoli.
That's right. Yeah, that and spinach.
What
But
a great response.
My question would be during COVID, as difficult as it was, what blessings did you see during this time?
Well, families were able to spend more time together with each other that they hadn't before. I think that's important. Folks were very generous in the COVID emergency fund that we put together with Catholic Charities. That money went to help people with food, with rent, burying the dead, tuition assistance.
Wow.
It helped as well individuals who had emergencies in their life. So I think it brought the best out of a lot of people. It also made us slow down a little bit because we had to stay at home and maybe didn't become so active before. So in many ways, it helped us understand that we really are connected with each other.
Cardinal, did you really slow down?
Well, I think I did in terms of going around to the parishes.
Mm-hmm.
I kept up as many meetings as possible with people and trying to make sure that the needs of folks were met. I think that I got a lot more exercise in. You know, I took long walks and was able to get some exercise that I ordinarily did not have. So yes, I think I did was able to rest.
You really enjoy walking. You put in many steps during the COVID time. Um, it's amazing. At least what 10,000, 15,000 steps on certain days.
Yes, it did give me an opportunity to get more exercise, and I like that very much.
Yeah. By the way, the emergency fund you mentioned, Cardinal Blaze, how much money did that raise?
Well, it was in excess of $25 million.
Wow.
That's just the generosity of people. And
Can people still contribute?
They can, and people are contributing yet, and we are meeting the needs of various parishes that have, especially food pantries.
So,
Go
they
ahead,
go to,
Mark.
I'm sorry, I was just going to ask, do they go to the Archdiocesan website? How do they contribute?
Yes, they can just send it into the Archdiocese or the Archdiocesan website, either way. But if they just mark COVID-19 Relief Fund, we'll make sure that it's used for that.
It's amazing. During the whole COVID time, many pastors were afraid collections would go way down, but people were very generous, including the cathedral during the COVID. Just to switch gears, Cardinal CUPICH, crime and violence in Chicago has certainly not lessened this summer. You wrote a tremendous article about violence in Chicago. Maybe for some of our listeners, you could summarize that because you had some great insights, also maybe taking even a couple of different angles, how we need to be connected better with each other. So crime and violence in Chicago is certainly not going away, and yet you have met it head on by responding to that. So maybe share a few words about that.
Yes, my only point was that the people who are responsible for public safety, we should do everything to support them. And at the same time, we have to ask ourselves what's happening to the soul of our city and each one of us when we feel as though we're disconnected from one another. That really is at the spiritual poverty that's involved here, where people can take violent actions against each other because they feel disconnected from the rest of society or other people. There's no sense of empathy about the lives of other people, and so that their lives can be taken. At the same time, all of us who might not be affected firsthand by the violence can't retreat into our own little security zones. We have to see that this involves all of us. So the disconnectedness cannot in some way infect our own spiritual lives as well. We have to see that we're all together in this and look for a solution by which we have peace in society and public safety as a real priority.
And as you're saying about us being connected, one of the things that came out, I think it was last week, is that the new papal declaration about the Latin Mass. Could you expand on that a little bit and maybe explain to folks how will that really be an opportunity for us to stay connected?
Yes, the Holy Father, as he made clear in his Motu Proprio about this, wants to make sure that we have unity among ourselves. And of course, the sacrament of unity is the Eucharist. With the renewal of the Second Vatican Council, the Church looked for a way in which we can give expression to what we believe by how we worship. It's the ancient principle of lex orandi, lex credendi. The way that we pray it really expresses what we believe, and vice versa. So both John Paul II and Benedict XVI, as well as Francis, wanted to help people who were in transition from one liturgy to another be accommodated. As Holy Father said, it was soon becoming clear that there was a growing element among those who regularly use or went to the former liturgy, that there was a denial and opposition to the reforms of the Second Vatican Council, and that could create a very deep wound in the life of the Church. because we really are one church. And the Holy Father wanted to make sure that we have a unified expression of what we believe in our liturgy. And so instead of allowing just any priest to celebrate the Eucharist for the community, it should return to the role of the bishop. In fact, it's always been that way. Prior to the decisions of Benedict XVI, it was always recognized in the life of the church that the bishop is the chief liturgist in the local church. Mm-hmm. And so all that for Pope Francis did is return to that. And so it's right here in the Archdiocese, we have different instances of the celebration of the former liturgy. I'm going to be talking to people about that. I'll be consulting about it. I'll study what the Holy Father has written, but I want to take seriously that the aim of whatever decision we have is unity. And make sure as well that people who are worshiping according to the former rite are not allowing themselves to fall into a trap of denying the validity of the change of the Second Vatican Council, or in some way denying the validity of the Mass that has been reformed by Pope St. Paul VI. So I think it's going to take some time for us to have those discussions, and we have to be faithful to the Holy Father. The Holy Father has a responsibility to make these decisions for the life of the Church. I would say, too, that anybody who would question his right or ability to do so really doesn't know how the Church really operates. The Holy Father is the supreme lawgiver, and we have to make sure that we respect his position and respect his office.
Yeah, I think the whole key is a sense of unity versus divisiveness. Mm-hmm. We're going to take a break here on WNDZ 750 AM, 312-255-8408. You can also go to youtube.com/CatholicChicago to catch us live streaming. Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Treasy, and our guest is Cardinal Blaise Cupich, Archbishop of Chicago. We'll be back after a break, and stay with us. Do not touch that dial.
Charities Schreiber Center for Human Services is now open in Round Lake. Due to the pandemic, we are limited in the number of in-person programs that we currently can provide. However, a food pantry is open twice a week, and a Wednesday night supper is held with to-go meals every week. A wide range of senior services are now offered as well. If we can assist you or someone you know, please call us at 847-546-5733. That's 847-546-5733. Before, during, and after COVID-19, Catholic Charities is here for you.
The Word Made Clear is exactly what its name implies. It's an easy-to-understand explanation of the Word of God, the Gospel. Hello, I'm Father James McElhone, Director of Biblical Formation for the Archdiocese of Chicago. I'd like to invite you to take our free online Bible study program by going to thewordmadeclear.org. Our website offers an audio-based guide to the Gospels of Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. Listen to my lectures and follow along with the handouts provided. There are even discussion guides. You can also explore the biblical roots of the Mass. And there are links to a wide variety of biblical sources that will benefit both teachers and students of the sacred scriptures. Just go to wordmadeclear.org to experience our free online Bible study program. Again, it's free at wordmadeclear.org. It's the Word of God. Enjoy.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. Father Greg Sackles along with Mark Treacy, and our guest is Cardinal Blaise Cupich, Archbishop of Chicago. Mark, take it away for a question.
So, Cardinal, we go to St. Gertrude's. We walk into church. There's a no mask, edict now that anybody vaccinated doesn't have to wear the mask. It felt very freeing to be there in that environment, and there were still people with masks. Is that going to change, do you think, with the fluidity you're seeing in terms of this variant? And then how will those decisions, how will you arrive at those decisions, but then how are they promulgated to the parishes?
Well, I surely hope not. I hope that we don't have to go back to those restrictions. And of course, that's why I have to encourage, once again, people to become vaccinated.
Yes,
that's the only way we're going to stop this. On the other hand, if things do surge and we begin to see a variant develop that breaks through the vaccine, then we're going to have to take action in accord with the science and the public health recommendations that are received. We're going to follow the same process. We have a commission that oversees this and advises me, and then we will make our decisions and communicate it to the parishes. And follow the directives of the public health officials. So we're going to go back to what we did before if we have to do that. Yes. We're going to be monitoring how we're going to open schools along the same line.
Yes.
Because there's still some debate of whether or not children who are not vaccinated should wear masks. We're going to look at that and make our own decisions in consultation with public health officials and seeing also what's being done in other school systems.
I do have to say that the Archdiocese, the guidelines have been phenomenal, and I know, Cardinal Cupich, you along with the team have spent hours and hours the last 16 months in the sense of closing, reopening, steps all along the way, and the hours that were spent in just the guidelines given to pastors in the Archdiocese has been phenomenal in terms of the amount of work spent. And we hope and pray we don't have to go back to some of this, as you say, and I think it's all in people's hands. It's all in people's hands right now with those that are unvaccinated. But I felt very safe in the cathedral. And also, to let listeners know, Holy Name Cathedral is wide open, full capacity in all churches, and we are drawing big crowds once again. I'm just going to change gears for a second. I don't mean to surprise you, but Cardinal Cupich, you have now been the Archbishop of Chicago, our shepherd, for 7 years come this November. This goes back to November of 2014. What has, in the last 6.5 years, been the biggest positive surprise for you as Archbishop of Chicago?
Well, I would say that it's not necessarily a surprise because I always had a great respect for the Archdiocese and its legacy, but just to come into contact with the richness of talents that we have in the Archdiocese. There really is no challenge that we face, no problem that confronts us, no opportunity that is before us that we can't seize, that has stopped me from calling on people with the various talents that we have, young and old. We built, I think, a very good team here in the Archdiocese. We have really fine priests who are talented. So I think it's the human resources that this Archdiocese has across the various ethnic groups, where people have come to this area rolling up their sleeves, ready to get work. It really is the city that speaks well of its immigrant legacy, but also where young people are attracted to begin their life by sharing their talents and abilities. So I think I just love being here because of the people.
And also along those lines, Mark, you're going to love the story. When Cardinal Cupich was here maybe about 3 years, about a year after I arrived, we were having breakfast one morning, and, Cardinal Cupich has a great sense of humor, and I said in a very innocent way, Cardinal Blaise, you've been here a couple of years now, what's the most commonly asked question of you by the media about being about being here in Chicago? And Cardinal Blaise looked at me and said, the most commonly asked question of media to me is, why did I name Father Sakowicz rector of the cathedral?
It's It's one of our mysteries.
Cardinal Supich said, do you have any other questions, Greg? And I said, no, that'll do it for now. So I'll always remember that.
Well, it falls out of the rubric. If you don't know the answer, don't ask the question.
Now, I had a question about the Mass on ABC. Cardinal, now I've seen you on WTTW, and all kinds of different interviews, and they're always pretty straightforward, informational. You're very honest, and all of a sudden you have a weekly presence on ABC, a viewership that's huge. What are your learnings about social media during this time in terms of your role as cardinal here?
Well, I think one of my first learnings that I picked up right away is I have to be really prepared to be able to celebrate the Eucharist and try to distill everything, in 6 minutes, 7 minutes at most. It really does take a lot of work to make sure that you can say something that's coherent and memorable to people. So that has really helped me discipline myself in preparing for those celebrations. The other is that people want me to make eye contact with them through this means, to be able to look straight into the camera and have in my mind that I'm actually looking at people in their own homes. And that is something people have told me before that which they appreciate. And then I think the other aspect of it is that it is uniting us one to another in this virtual way. It is creating a community of believers as people identify and talk about watching the Mass, because I know that people do talk to each other about it. So there is an actual community aspect built into this virtual system.
Now, I know Greg has another question, but I can affirm that because our little 6-year-old, I told you before she was watching the Mass, she connected with you. And that's their generation. That's their communication form. That's right. Innate in a 6-year-old. So yeah, it was effective.
Yeah, she sees Cardinal Supich week in and week out on ABC, and in many ways, you become a pastor on a whole different level.
Yeah. Where
people 250,000 see you weekly on Channel 7, and plus our YouTube at the cathedral. So it makes a huge, huge difference. We need to bring this part of the program to a close. Cardinal Blaise Supich, want to thank you very much for being our guest the first half hour here on Catholic Chicago, and safe travels as you come back to Chicago. And God bless you. You are truly a shepherd in Chicago, visionary, hardworking, and don't lose your sense of humor.
And give the Holy Father our best, okay?
I will. He'll appreciate that very much. He's recovering well from his surgery.
Oh, good.
And he's, as you saw from the audience for the Angelus this weekend on Sunday, he really seems to have a very strong voice and is recovering well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our guest has been Cardinal Blaise Supich, Archbishop of Chicago. God bless you, Cardinal Supich. Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Teresi on Catholic Chicago, WNDZ 750. Stay with us for part 2. You do not touch that dial.
Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, Catholic Charities has continued to respond to the needs of people who come to us for assistance. More than 850,000 meals and food parcels have been offered to those who are struggling with food insecurity. Over 108,000 homelessness prevention hotline calls have been answered. Over 22,000 people have received mental health services, and $2 million in financial assistance has been provided to keep people housed. If you or someone you know needs assistance, email us at gethelp@catholiccharities.net. That's gethelp@catholiccharities.net or call 312-655-7700. That's 312-655-7700. Before, during, and after COVID-19, Catholic Charities is here for you.
The cemetery ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. Every Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Archdiocese of Chicago presents programming about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. Father Greg Sakowitz and Mark Teresi. And do we have with us Joyce DeRiga? Is she with us? Good morning, Joyce. How are you?
Hi.
Hi. Good.
Good to see you. How are you? How are you feeling these days, Joyce?
Well, Monday. It's good to be alive and well.
Good on a Monday morning in summer in Chicago, and Joyce will discuss her article in the latest edition of Chicago Catholic that tells the story of a strong family tradition at a Melrose Park parish. And Joyce DeRiga is editor of the Chicago Catholic. I always have to be careful of our program is Catholic Chicago, and you are the editor of the Chicago Catholic. How many years have you been doing the work at the Chicago Catholic, Joyce?
Over 13.
Wow.
Over 13 years.
Wow.
Now, where were you before Chicago Catholic?
Our Sunday Visitor newspaper.
Okay.
Always interested in writing?
Yeah, I went to college for journalism. I started out in secular journalism, and then wanted to use my gifts for what I felt like was directly for God. So.
No, before we get into the Mount Carmel, I had a quick question. Any new books on the horizon? Why don't you share with folks the ones that you've written already, and then anything coming up?
Thank you for asking. 2 short biographies, one on Sister Helen Prejean, who's big death penalty abolitionist, and then one on Father Augustus Tolton, who is venerable, and his cause for canonization is open in the Archdiocese. Yes. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking.
How about Father Greg? A book on Greg.
Be more like a pamphlet.
It'd be a pamphlet with a lot of pictures.
Yeah, a lot of pictures, from childhood. Exactly, a small pamphlet. And
seriously, though, Joyce, is there something on the horizon you're thinking about?
Someone was pitching me some ideas of some holy women in the church, like Catherine Doherty and then maybe Mother Jones. So I'm kind of looking into some of that.
Oh, great.
You are a great writer and do a tremendous job as editor of the Chicago Catholic. Father. Let me read this. For 128 years, Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish in Melrose Park has held an annual novena to their patron. It's a community-wide affair that culminates with a procession through the neighborhood with a statue of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. It's an event based on family and tradition. So you want to maybe share something about that?
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been out there for this, but these are the kind of Catholic things that one of the many Catholic things that I love. It's a whole community-wide celebration. There's images. There's Rocky. So they got a papal blessing. There's only 3 other images of Our Lady in the world that have a papal blessing for that crown.
I didn't know
People
that.
donated. Let me back up. So in 1894, a woman prayed to Our Lady of Mount Carmel to heal her husband who was ill, and promised that if Our Lady healed him, that she would get a statue of Our Lady of Mount Carmel from her hometown in Italy and then establish a devotion there. And it's been going on since then. This was the 128th anniversary. I met a woman, people put up images of Our Lady around their houses. And it's interesting, the neighborhood was Italian for a long time, and now it's there's more Mexican folks living there. So now you've got Our Lady of Guadalupe and Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
Oh, neat.
So it's really a family tradition. One lady I met is 101. She says she's been going for 101 years.
She's
There were
101 years old, and
Yeah.
and was she born and baptized at that parish?
She was.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Wow.
And
Oh my
then
gosh.
with her that day was her daughter, her granddaughter, and her great-granddaughters. So
How neat.
it was a little different this year. There's a novena leading up to it, right? And then there's a procession with Our Lady with the statue, as you can see. Usually people carry the statue on their shoulders, but because of COVID and stuff like that image you see there, they had a mobile procession this year where Our Lady was on a cart. These folks are carrying what are called candle houses. So it's an Italian tradition where they're 3-tiered kind of floats that have candles around them. They always have a statue of a patron saint of their family on the top. And then if loved ones have died over the years, they'll put an image of the loved one on the candle house and process with it. It's just a really, it's a really neat thing. People have parties in their front lawns to wait for the statue of Our Lady to process by. They blow off fireworks when she passes. They throw rose petals on the statue. I saw people releasing balloons, and they'll put out little shrines, family shrines out in the front yard for Our Lady to pass. It's just one of those neat Catholic things. It's a tradition that they hand down through generations.
So it's impacted you. Why do you think it's impacted? I mean, you're smiling as you're talking about it. There's an energy about it for you. How did it affect you?
It's kind of like when you go, if you've ever had a chance to go to Our Lady of Guadalupe in Des Plaines on the eve of the vigil or the feast day, just the expressions of faith that people have and devotion to Our Lady and to Jesus, and when they do something physically to express that devotion, it's just so moving. And everybody you talk to has a story of a prayer answered or something that Our Lady is interceded for them on, I just think it's so neat, and it's such a tangible way to express your faith. I know there used to be more of these, right? Maybe 50 years ago and stuff. Big Our Lady of Sorrows novena over on the west side, and I think they're still relevant. I like to see them continue.
Now, Joyce, when was this novena held at Our Lady Mount Carmel?
It was just 2 weeks ago on Sunday.
And it was well attended.
Yeah, I mean, the masses were. They had just released the COVID restrictions, right? So the masses were better attended. But they weren't allowed to have a procession this year because it was too quick of a shift in plans
from the protocols.
For the parish. Yeah, so they didn't have people walking this year, which a lot of people were disappointed, but they said they'll be back next year.
Right.
I think that's wonderful, and Joyce, you do a marvelous job as editor, and we'll be back on in a couple of weeks to tell us about the latest edition. And 312-255-8408. You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Joyce, our prayers are with you. Keep up the great work, and our phone number. Again, 312-255-8408, WNDZ, 750 AM. Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Teresi. We're going to go to a break then for the last segment. Stay with us, and again, do not touch that dial.
Caring adults make all the difference in the lives of adolescents. Catholic Charities understands this, and our mentorship program provides a free opportunity for youth living in Lake County to spend time, virtually, with volunteers who genuinely care about them. This program is ideal for youths age 9 to 12 who may need support navigating the challenges of childhood and early adolescence. Our amazing volunteers serve as friends and role models who help youth recognize their strengths and empower them to reach their full potential. Catholic Charities conducts a thorough background check on every volunteer, and our program coordinator closely monitors and supports each relationship. Mentoring is a fun after-school program that is totally different from remote learning. Virtual group sessions help youth enjoy fun activities with their peers, too. We're connecting youth with great role models. Join us today. To learn more, call 312-937-3375. That's 312-937-3375.
I feel special. I feel great. I got good grades.
We've seen a huge surge in our kids now meeting or exceeding grade level. Come check us out. You may have never thought we were an option before.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM, 312-255-8408. Father Greg Sakowitz along with Mark Teresi. You can join us also, youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Watch us live streaming. And boy, it's been a great program so far. In the last 20 minutes, we have one of the outstanding priests in Chicago.
Yep.
Father Don Nevins, pastor at St. Agnes of Bohemia Parish in Little Village. Good morning, Don. How are you doing?
Good morning.
I'm doing fine, Greg. How are you?
Good. Now, Don, were you ordained in 74?
75.
75. And, Mark, for those watching live stream, Father Nevins looks about 50 years old. And now you're no longer playing softball, are you, Don?
No, I had to give that up a number of years ago.
Are you running at all?
Oh yeah, I'm still running.
Yeah.
And the thing is now, and you started at then Niles College in what year?
81. 81.
So you arrived in 81. I came in 85. Mark came in 85 or 86.
85, I think.
85 too.
We could have a Niles College faculty meeting.
We have a little faculty meeting here. And
this was part of the old administrators, yeah.
Yeah, how about it?
That's exactly right. And so I know that you've done tremendous work in the Archdiocese, so which means you are ordained now 46 years.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And far from retired.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
You're going to talk about the age being 70.
I passed the 70 mark a couple of years ago.
I was going to say, because I'm 68, you got to be 72.
I'm 72, yes.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And going strong, and you're one of the Chicago's finest.
One of my fond memories is Don's mom, Rosemary, working in our office. We just had a blast with Father Klein's parents and your mom, and those were just good days.
So was Don's mom working at Quigley or at Niles?
At Niles.
They
helped us do our mailings, a lot of things. And I remember that what they enjoyed most were going for the lunches. Remember that?
Going for the lunches.
Yeah.
So Mom then was living
she's still going strong.
How old is Rosemary?
97.
God,
is your mom 97?
Please give her our regards.
When did your mom turn 98?
December 1st.
Wow. God bless Mom. And so she was coming from Des Plaines, I think in those days, to Niles College.
Right.
Amazing.
Actually, Mount Prospect. We had moved to Mount Prospect by then.
Mount Prospect. Well, listen, St. Agnes of Bohemia Catholic Church is holding several street masses through the end of July in an effort to bring the gospel message of peace and hope to the streets of the Little Village neighborhood. There have already been 2 street masses so far this month. The next scheduled for 7 p.m. The following locations: Tuesday, July 27th, 2744 South St. Louis. Thursday, July 29th, which is this week, 2232 South St. Louis Avenue. So, Don, tell us about these masses in the neighborhood.
Well, I don't even know how long ago they started. I think it was probably in Father Matt Foley's time. But the idea was we have kind of broken the parish down into 10 different, we call them sectors. And we're a neighborhood parish, and so you can do that. You know, you take a couple of streets and you have a coordinator for each of the different sectors. And it started off as something for actually the celebration of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And so each of the different sectors would host every night a rosary, short prayer, and maybe a little bit of camaraderie and refreshments as each of the nights of the 12 days leading up to Our Lady of Guadalupe. And then what we started was figuring that if we did that in the fall, in the winter, we could actually do it in the summer also, and started with these street masses, as you see here. So we're right there on the street. We block off the street, have the opportunity to just invite people from the area to come out and to celebrate Mass with us. In the past, what we'd always done, except for last year, obviously we didn't do it at all, but up till 2 years ago, we would go out the night before. We have a little flyer from the parish. We just go knocking on doors, inviting people to come to the Mass and giving them a little information about the parish. And it really became a kind of an evangelization tool where we'd invite people to not just come to the Mass, but tell them a little bit more about the parish. We'd always have some announcements at the end. It became a little bit of a recruitment tool for the school. We'd always say something about the school. If we had other things going on, we could invite people to those. Even as you see here, for those who are able to see it, you can kind of see that there's people not only bringing out their chairs to sit there, but you can't quite see. On the side, there are people sitting on their steps. People would usually bring out some water or some food, some chips or something afterwards. And just invite people to kind of stay around and talk a little bit. It's a great opportunity for people to, on their own blocks, to get to know each other a little better, but also for people to extend the invitation again. You know, as right now, especially, just people don't even know that they can come back to church without registering, and so it's a good opportunity for us just to invite people to come on Sundays also.
What I'm noticing, Don, for those who are watching live stream, is they've actually blocked off the street, and there are seems like hundreds of people.
Huge.
At this. We're talking a huge crowd for this particular Mass that we're watching right now.
Yeah. They're very popular. And so what we did this year, because we couldn't do them last year at all, we decided we do each of the 10 sectors as we always do. But then at the end of that, we asked that anyone who wanted to organize a Mass on their block could do so. And so when we finished up the 10 regular Masses, because we start about the second week of June usually, and then we have, so we put dates out till the end of July. So it was about 5 extra dates, I think. So sure enough, within a week or two, all of those dates were filled up. And so people just decided they wanted to organize their own block Mass. And so we get, that was a nice night. That was, I think, last Thursday. It was a nice night. People were there. And one of the things we do at the end all the time was we invite all the kids that are there to come up and to receive a blessing. And nice. And then I think you saw Father Jim doing that at the end of Mass there. And sometimes it's like there's going to be 40 kids in front of you. They come from every place. They come from the people sitting on their stoops, the kids that are riding their bikes around, the kids that are actually paying a little attention at Mass. But it's just a great opportunity. We pray for their safety, especially during the summer. As you know, Little Village has got a little reputation for being rather dangerous.
Yes.
So it's really a time to bless them. to pray for their protection, to pray that they have a good summer, that they enjoy their summer,
We're
and
going
they enjoy their
to break
vacation.
down. We're going to talk about that violence when
but
we
also
come back.
that they're protected.
We're going to take a little break. WNDZ, 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We're talking to Father Don Nevins, pastor of St. Agnes of Bohemia, which I believe is the largest Hispanic parish in our archdiocese. When we come back, maybe we'll ask Father Don what are some challenges that he sees in the parish as he moves forward, running
for the next 10 years.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
There is so much waiting for you at Catholic Charities Senior Services. We offer programs and services to help make the most of every day. Friendships and fun are guaranteed at our drop-in senior centers. Our adult daycare centers offer enjoyment and greater supervision to seniors who need it, while their caregivers get a break. Holy Family Villa provides a beautiful, safe environment for seniors looking for short or long-term residential facility. And we offer assistance with senior benefits, care coordination, congregate and home-delivered meals, hospital transition, and much more. For more than 100 years, we have accompanied seniors through every transition in their lives, and we are here for you now. Catholic Charities is a name and an agency you can trust. Call Senior Services today at 312-655-7700. That's 312-655-7700.
We're back, Catholic Chicago, WNDZ, 750 AM, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com and see us live, youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We're with Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Treacy. We're with Father Don Nevins, pastor at St. Agnes of Bohemia. I know that. It's a senior moment, Agnes of Bohemia. But Don, you were speaking before the break. You alluded to the fact that, there are serious issues of violence in the neighborhood of St. Agnes and other neighborhoods in Chicago. How do you handle that as pastor of a faith community?
There's a number of things we try to do. And one of the things is really starting with the family. I mean, one of the things when you look at gang violence and violence against children, we really need to start with the family. And so we have a couple different.
Hello?
Have we lost Don? We lose a signal?
Don, well,
are you with us, Don?
We're seeing a visual.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
There you
we're
are.
fading in and out. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think that's on my end. Okay.
Anyway,
what we do is we have a special program for the parents in the religious ed classes. And it really is meant to, it's not just religious education, it's really kind of strengthening the family. There's a program called Bridges, Family Bridges, which we've used the program in Spanish with the parents. And really focus a lot on communication between parents and their kids and strengthening families. We have another group that kind of formed here, a couple of mothers who had lost children to violence. And they formed a group they call it Padres Angeles, angel parents. Oh, wow. And whenever there is any kind of a shooting or anything like that involving a young person, they make it their point to go to kind of talk to the mother, especially the family, They'll pray with them. They'll see what kind of help they might be able to offer, put them in contact with groups that might be able to help them with both counseling, but even burial and things like that. Kind of work with the parishes a little bit on what they might be able to offer the families, and really look to ways in which we can try to strengthen some of those family bonds a little bit more. Because it's one thing to try to work with the young people. It's another thing to start with their families and see what best we can do.
Don, I have to ask this question. That is, you were raised in a suburb of Des Plaines. I was raised next door in Park Ridge. Mark, you were raised
St. Clements.
St. Clements, so in the northwest side of North Chicago, and getting up in the morning, going outside and playing, going off to school was never a problem. You just,
That's right.
But in the world of today, in your neighborhood, in many other neighborhoods, that even going to school is an incredible challenge, where I know young people have sometimes changed their route in going to school to avoid certain people or corners. And so what is life like in the lives of young people in your particular neighborhood?
One of the things that I noticed early on here when I came was that I try to be outside usually when school gets out at either 2:30 or 3 o'clock, depending on what our schedules have been. And I was always amazed. You're right, Greg. When we were kids, I used to live about a mile and a half from school, I think. I used to ride my bike. I mean, when I got older, I used to ride my bike. When I was at Quigley, I would take the bus and get off in Des Plaines, and it was even a little farther walk to go home. But I never thought about not walking home or having to have somebody pick me up. I came here and I saw all of these parents and grandparents out there picking up their kids. And I thought, well, this is really nice, then I realized part of this is just safety. They want to make sure their kids get home safe and sound. I mean, you see all the cars double and almost triple parked out in front of school as the day is ending, and it causes traffic jams, and people get mad, and trucks can't get through, and buses can't get through. But parents are there because they want to make sure their kids are safe. And it's sad in a sense for me to look back and say, boy, that wasn't part of my upbringing at all.
That's right.
But it's a reality,
Yeah, and it's even tougher in the high school level because it might be a little bit further away. But now you got to talk about gangs and so for maybe just a moment, how do you talk to young people about the gospel when there's so much pressure in neighborhoods, including yours, to join a gang for, quote, safety reasons?
It really is a strong attraction to kids. And again, I think one of the things we really need to focus a lot on is that communication between parents and kids, that they really do talk to their children. Try to instill in them, know that they're loved, know that they're appreciated, that they can talk to their folks, that they can talk to their brothers and sisters, that they don't have to look to a gang to find some sense of security or some sense of belonging.
Dan, I hate to cut this off. We need to bring it to a close. I was running late and realized I did this.
Go ahead.
Thank you in a special way, Father Don Nevins, pastor of St. Agnes, Bohemia, for joining us. Don, you've been doing a great, marvelous job. Tremendous priest. Special thanks to co-host Mark Tracy.
Thank you.
To our engineers, producers, Michael May, Brian Hockey, and Brock. To all, God bless. Great week.
And Don, Greg would like to join you running this week.
Running to Dairy Queen.
Okay.
Okay.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.